Did you know that GitHub Copilot can be a great assistant, helping you write your Jupyter notebook, giving you suggestions with your Python code or your data analysis task? I'm Carlotta Castelluccio, cloud advocate at Microsoft, focused on artificial intelligence and machine learning. And in this video, I'm going to give you a practical example of it. A Jupyter notebook is one of the most popular tools used by data scientists for data and machine learning projects. It lets you easily combine markdown text and executable source code on one canvas and let you quickly visualize the results of your experiments or your data. If you are new to Copilot, you might want to watch an introductory video about this powerful AI assistant before deep diving with me in this video into how it helps you with Jupyter Notebook development. For this demo, we are going to create a Jupyter Notebook in Visual Studio Code. We are going to use two extensions, GitHub Copilot extension and a GitHub Codespaces extension. And now working in a Codespace is very similar to working on a web container in a virtual machine on the cloud. You can commit to your GitHub repository a few configuration files to set up your development environment with the settings and prerequisites required for your data science experiments. So I have here my 2 CPU cores, 4 GB memory Codespaces built upon one of my GitHub repository, with a few requirements installed like Python 3.a and some common Python data science libraries we're going to import in the notebook. Going to the repo, let me create a new Jupyter notebook that I will rename Titanic Data Analysis with Copilot. One key element of a notebook is the kernel. The kernel is a programming language-specific process, in this case Python, that executes the code cells in the notebook. The first cell we want to add to this notebook will be a markdown cell containing the title of the notebook along with a description of what we are going to do. To showcase GitHub Copilot capabilities with Jupyter Notebooks, I'm going to load here and explore the Titanic dataset, one popular dataset among data scientists collecting information about a few hundred passengers who were aboard the Titanic at the time of the fatal accident. So the title I'll be giving to this notebook will be Exploring Titanic Data with Copilot. You can notice how, as I start typing, Copilot starts giving me text completions, the gray suggestions that appear based on the most probable text that should follow my prompt. To give some context to the demo I'm going to build, I'll start also writing a description of the Titanic history and see if Copilot can help me in this task. So let me write the Titanic is and see what Copilot suggests. So is a famous ship that sank in 1912. The dataset contains information about the passengers on the ship. And the goal of this notebook is to explore the dataset and find out what factors made people more likely to survive. Since it's a good fit for my notebook, I'm going to accept the who suggestion by clicking on Tab. As a next step, let's start writing some Python code with the help of our AI pair programmer. First of all, let's import the pandas library to load and handle data in our notebook, and let's specify the URL of the Titanic dataset we'd like to explore. By just clicking on the Enter button here, I get suggested code from Copilot, which is the code to upload the data into a pandas data frame from the specified URL. This is one way Copilot uses to help us writing our code, simply suggesting our next line starting from what we wrote. In this case, the prompt is written in Python. However, Copilot can also help us use English as programming language by converting an instruction written in natural language as a Python comment, for example, into a line of code. Now, we might want to have a quick overview of the first few rows of our dataset. So let's write our request in English, like a Python comment. So let's have an overview of the data by printing the first 5 rows. And then let's click on Enter. The result of the code suggested by Copilot shows all the columns and the first 5 rows of our data. So our dataset contains the binary indicator if the passenger survived, the passenger class, the name, sex, and the age of the passenger, the ticket number and the ticket fare, the cabin, and port of departure. There are also 2 other columns whose titles are not so clear, Sib SP and Parch. We can rely on the Q&A feature to clarify. Let's create a new cell and let's ask our question to Copilot. What is the meaning of Sib SP? Sib SP is the number of siblings and spouses aboard the Titanic. Wonderful. Next question. What is the meaning of Parch? Let's see GitHub Copilot answer. Parch is the number of parents and children aboard the Titanic. Now that's very much clearer. Thanks, Copilot. Let's conclude this quick data overview by looking at how many people from the ones tracked in our dataset survived the shipwreck and how many didn't. Let's again create a new Python comment. Let's compute how many passengers have survived and let's print the value. So it is now elaborating the answer. Yes. So we have the command we were looking for to compute the number of survived and the print command. Let's now compute how many passengers did not survive and let's print the value. Copilot is taking some time to give us an answer. So in this case, we can start typing the answers to see if we get a suggestion. For example, not survived, which is the name of our variable, and then equal, and we wait for the suggestion, and then we print the result. Great. GitHub Copilot helped us learn from the data that 342 passengers were lucky enough to survive to the tragedy and 549 lost their lives in the accident. Now that we have explored a bit our data, the last piece I wish to show you is how Copilot can help us perform data visualization in our Jupyter notebook. Data visualization is a significant step of data analysis, enabling us to retrieve insights from the data we might not simply extract otherwise. Something we can do, for example, is exploring the correlation between the number of passengers survived and their class to check if the class is a significant factor in passengers' likelihood to survive. The Hollywood narration of the Titanic shipwreck told us that there's a huge correlation between the two. Let's see if it is true. To do so, let's create a new code cell in which we write our instruction, which is let's look at the correlation between the column survive, which is our binary label, and the column P class, which is the passenger class. Let's add that we want to visualize the number of people per each class, survive or not, with a categorical kind of plot. And let's click enter. GitHub Copilot convert our comment into a few lines of code. First of all, it imports the Seaborn library and then it builds the cat plot. So let's execute the code suggested by Copilot and let's look at the resulting graph. We can see that the first class is the only one for which the number of people survived is higher than the number of people who didn't. If we look at the third class, the number of people who didn't survive is very much higher than people survived, even if the total number of passengers in the third class is the highest, confirming our first guess. We have seen how GitHub Copilot can help us with Jupyter Notebooks development by suggesting the description of our project in the Markdown cells, generating code from our comments, or answering our questions. GitHub Copilot is a great tool that makes our work easier and more efficient, enabling us to focus on more complex and creative tasks. But let's always remember that the code generated by Copilot is not perfect, and us as developers are the actual pilots, responsible for our code, written with the help of an AI assistant or not. Thanks for watching this video, hope you enjoyed it, and if you got some value out of this, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. If you are interested also in learning more about using GitHub Copilot with other programming languages and frameworks, check out the other videos of this series.